Hey guys, it's Marcus Maloney, the Equity King here, and I am excited about some of the things that we're going to talk to you about today. I have a list of questions that people have been asking me because they've been taking advantage of my 30-minute free strategy session. If you go to the link below, actually you can take advantage of the 30-minute free strategy session as well. During this time, I provide you opportunities to ask me any question about real estate investing, real estate wholesaling in general. If this is your first time here, please let me know. Leave me a comment below. If you find this information valuable and useful, you know what, why not come join us, be a subscriber. That way you can get this interesting information every week to help you reach your goals of financial freedom. This channel is all about the intricacies of real estate investing and real estate wholesaling. Did you know that land is the pathway to financial freedom, and wholesaling is generally the first step for those without any money? So come on in, dive on in. Hey, I just want to talk about some of these questions because I know that if they had these questions, some other people out there in the world, in the universe, have similar or the same questions. And I like to use this platform right here to answer these questions for you. And if you have others, again, remember to comment below. So let's jump right in. So the first question is from Savannah. When the buyer puts down his earnest money and everything goes well with the transaction, meaning that everybody gets their part of the deal, what happens to the buyer's earnest money deposit? Does it go towards the buyer's final purchase price? Or who gets the buyer's earnest money deposit? So generally, I'm going to talk from two perspectives here. I'm going to talk about the wholesaler's earnest money first. So let's talk about my earnest money, and then we'll talk about my end buyer's earnest money. And then we'll tie it all in together. So my earnest money, I agree with the seller to purchase their property, and I say, hey, I'll put down $500 earnest money deposit as reasonable consideration or tender to really solidify the deal. So once I put that money and send that into escrow with the contract, you can send it to an escrow company or a real estate attorney, depending on the state that you're in. Then they will hold those deposits. That deposit, you will not give this money to the seller directly. You will use a third-party intermediary like the title company or a real estate attorney. So now your earnest money is held by the title company. Now what I do, which is kind of different than everyone else, in my assignment agreement that I have my buyer fill out, it states that my earnest money will be immediately refunded to me upon the deposit of my buyer's earnest money. So let's go through it. So I put in $500 earnest money deposit. My buyer agrees, he's going to put in $2,500 non-refundable earnest money deposit. Once that's in escrow, the escrow company or the real estate attorney will then reimburse me for my $500 that I have in the deal. So now I'm in the deal with absolutely no money, in the transaction. So what happens, God forbid, that my buyer does not perform and he says, hey, you know what, I want to back out of the deal. That's not the worst case scenario. It's pretty bad, but he submitted $2,500 non-refundable earnest money deposit. So what happens with that money is the seller gets their $500 earnest money deposit that me and him or me and her agreed upon in the contract, and then I retain the other $2,000 earnest money deposit. All right? Completely understandable. Believe me, end buyers, they know it. Investors, they know it. So don't let them try and be savvy and say, no, I want an inspection period, after I put the contract, after they submit the contract and the assignment agreement. All right? Next question. how do I find a real estate attorney? So real estate investing is just like any other business. It's really, really referral based and network based. So you have to get out. You have to go to your local RIA meetings. You have to be where other real estate investors are. And then once you're there, then you just ask them for a referral. Hey man, do you know of a good real estate attorney that I can use? I got a deal that I'm about to put together, or I'm going to be putting together some deals and I need a good real estate attorney. You know what? Can you refer anyone? If you can't find anyone to refer anyone, then you just go to Google and Google real estate attorneys in my area. You pick up the phone, you contact them, you tell them exactly what you're doing, you know, how you want to assign contracts, and if it's something that they will be able to assist you with. And 9 times out of 10, they'll be able to help you. All right, so that's answering that question. Next question, do you suggest I register the business, get business cards prior to starting wholesaling? This is a 2-part answer, and I'll preface this by saying don't let anything slow you down or tie you up from doing your first deal. So don't get the mindset that I have to have everything in order before I get started. This was one of the things that I had a problem with because I'm a very detail-oriented person. So I was thinking, okay, well, I have to have this, I have to do this, I have to do that before I get started. Yes, it's good. It limits liability if you already have your LLC set up. But if you don't have the $1,000 or the $500, $1,500 to get your LLC started, then use that money that you do have. If it's $300, $500, $1,500, start marketing so you can start talking with sellers to see if you can secure that first deal. Once you secure that first deal, then you can take the profits and the proceeds from that to help you set up your LLC. All right? So, to make a long story short, it's good to have that LLC in place, but if you have a limited budget, don't let that stop you and still go ahead. But immediately after you close that first deal or come into some money, get that LLC set up. All right? And remember, I'm not a real estate attorney, so if you need additional advice, find that attorney in the previous question. How does taxes with closing work? Meaning, do I need a tax ID number and need to set taxes to the side? Also, I'm not an accountant. I'm a real estate investor. So seek your accounting professional's advice, you know, prior to doing anything. But to preface it and say this is that those taxes will be set aside. Normally, what the real estate attorney or the title company will do, they will make you complete a W-9 form stating that, you know, the proceeds coming to you, you will have to, you know, pay the taxes on it. So once the proceeds close, the transaction close, in your title paperwork, you will receive a 1099 form that you can file with your taxes, you know, when you get ready to prepare your taxes. So you do need to set that money aside because there is no federal income taxes or state taxes coming out. That profit that you make is completely a gross profit. All right? So how do you normally pay your bird dogs if they do not have a license? So bird dogs is kind of like a JV agreement. You agree with them up front. Hey, I'll pay you X amount of dollars or X amount of percentage of the proceeds in order for you to bring me deals. So if I make $10,000 on a deal that they bring me, then they'll get 12%, 18%, 30%, whatever we agree upon. Okay? Do you need proof of funds to put a property under contract, and how do you find one? So let me answer the first part. Do you need proof of funds to put a property under contract? Absolutely not, especially if you're working with independent sellers, independent owners. So if it's a property off market, only thing you have to do is talk to the seller. Once you guys come to an agreement, they say they want to sell their house for $50,000 and you agree to buy for $50,000. Then in the real estate contract that you write up, you just have what your inspection period is, how much you're paying for it, and the close of escrow. Now, if you're working and you're trying to do MLS listed deals and wholesale those deals, get those deals under contract, normally you will need proof of funds because you're working and you'll be dealing with a real estate agent, and real estate agents are savvy. This is their career. This is what they do, and they know that they don't want anyone tying up a property that cannot perform. So you will need a proof of funds when you're going after, foreclosures, pre-foreclosed properties, because normally those notes are held by the bank and the bank will like to see proof of funds. So the second part, where do you get a proof of funds letter? Well, there are certain things, places where you can go. There's certain hard money lenders in your area that'll provide you with a proof of funds letter stating that they will fund you, up to X amount of dollars in order to do, to do a deal as long as the numbers work. That happened to me. Never did a deal. Contacted, an equity capital fund here in Phoenix. Told them, hey, I'm looking to do some wholesale deals and do some fix and flips. Would they be willing to provide me with the proof of funds letter? And lo and behold, they were. You never know what you can get unless you ask. So I was able to get that. Also, another way is if you're working with an investor and you have an end buyer, which I suggest is a good way to go if you're just getting started, then you can definitely ask them and say, hey, I'm looking for deals for you specifically. I'm going to be putting in MLS offers. Can you provide me with proof of funds? That way, when I do get those offers in, that I can automatically submit that to the seller's agent. All right. So the next thing, would it be beneficial to use the cash for keys method as my earnest money deposit? That's a very interesting question. You can use basically almost anything as earnest money deposit because basically it is considered tender consideration. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be finances or capital. So just to give you clarification, what cash for keys is if you're looking to get a property under contract with the landlord, and let's just say the tenant still have 6 months on the lease, you have to honor that lease by law. So you cannot just say, hey, I'm buying this property, Mr. Tenant, you got to get out. No, you have to honor that lease. So if they have 6 months left on that lease, you have to honor those 6 months left on that lease. Now, where cash for keys come in is that you can say, hey, I will pay you, $2,000, $3,000, $1,500, to break this lease, with agreements with the seller, if I purchase this property. That way, at the end of the day, you will be receiving a property that is clear and vacant at close of escrow. So can you use it for earnest money deposit? If you write it up in the contract and say, I will provide cash for keys to the tenant in the amount of X, which will be used for the earnest money deposit to be held at escrow. That way, the title company will hold that earnest money deposit / cash for keys at closing. That check will go to the tenant and not to the seller. Okay, next, just want to know the difference between having and not having a business license to start out with. I already answered that in the previous question. Next, my question is, how do you wholesale a deal you get from another wholesaler? Well, starting out, that's not the best way to go. And honestly, continuing on, that's not the best way to go because that's considered daisy chaining deals, which is a bad look and it can give you a bad reputation, in this industry. Although real estate investing is a broad market, normally a lot of the players that's in the market, they know each other. So what daisy chaining a deal is if a wholesaler brings you a deal or shows you, you get on a buyer's list and they send you an email and they have a deal that's going out at $50,000. Then you adjust that email and send it out to one of your buyers for $55,000 so you can try and get a $5,000 markup on it. That's bad for business. The best way to wholesale another wholesaler's deal is to create a joint venture agreement between you and the original contract holder, the original wholesaler. So if that wholesaler has that property for $50,000, then you want to say, okay, I believe I have a buyer that would like to purchase this property. Let's do a joint venture agreement to where on close of escrow, I get $5,000, and then you get the rest of the proceeds. Whatever you guys agree to, that's completely up to you. So you can say it could be a percentage. I get, 20% of the net proceeds, or, you can say I get 40%, 50%, or it can be a dollar amount, set dollar amount. Okay, but you never want to blast out another wholesaler's deal with the markup if you have not spoken with them. And generally, it's not good business because a lot of the investors that buy, they're on multiple wholesalers' buyers list, so they don't want to see a property, from one person coming in at $50,000 and then for you coming in at $57,000. Okay. The next one, what do I put in the letter to get the seller interested? So this is more so a marketing call for direct mail marketing. What should I put in my letter? Whatever you believe will get them interested to give you a call. It can be short and sweet and to the point is the best, but you definitely want to have some verbiage in there just to say, you want to touch on some sort of motivation. If you're marketing to absentee owners, you want to say, hey, are you dealing with a troubled tenant? Do you have a tenant that hasn't paid rent? Or are you tired of repairs from tenants tearing up your properties? Give me a call. I'm interested in buying properties in your area. Here's my number, 888-268-3333. All right. So that's a very simple answer. And then you can look online, honestly, to see, some of the other letters that wholesalers are using. We have some letters that we use specifically, and we offer those letters to some of the people that we work with and close deals with. Okay. This question is kind of lengthy. Here's what I can't find an answer to, or anyone to answer this. So the owner says, yes, I want to sell for $5,000, and you get a buyer that says, yes, I'll buy it for $15,000. When I show up to the owner, is he going to think or expect I have a check for $5,000? That goes to you basically educating your seller, letting your seller know that, hey, there is a process. We are buying a property for cash, but we have to make sure there's no liens or encumbrances on the property. So everything has to go through the title company or the real estate attorney to make sure we're getting a free and clear property. So that's just basic education for you, between you and your seller. Okay. What if I don't find a buyer at the closing date, before the closing date? Do I create another contract to extend the contract, or am I stuck with buying the property? With this one, you want to try and find your buyer before the end of your inspection period. Your inspection period can be 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, whatever you and your seller agree upon. But that inspection period is important because in that inspection period gives you the opportunity to say, hey, I don't want to purchase this property because the trusses in the roof are bad, or because it's infested with termites or mice or something like that. You can find, something from the inspection to where you don't close on the property, and you're within right during that inspection period to cancel. Generally, make it a rule not to try and constantly cancel contracts because, again, your reputation is all you have. You want to be able to, once you get that property under contract, you know your numbers for your market, and you know that you'll be able to sell and move this property. But it does happen where you have to cancel contracts. And if your seller is in agreement to it, you can extend that inspection period to give you more time to find that buyer. So you're not stuck with purchasing that property. But don't make it a habit to cancel contracts. All right. When I am submitting a contract to title, do I find a title company before I get my buyer? Do I find a title company myself, or does the seller already have to have a title company? Well, generally, you always want to control your transaction, so you want to have that title company already lined up, because you got to have that noted in the contract. That close of escrow will occur on such and such a date at, security title, and then you give the address and everything like that. So you must have that title company in place. That way you can facilitate your own transaction. All right. We're almost done here, but I do want to make sure I touch on some of these that are some really great questions. One is, what is the difference between a real estate wholesale contract and the assignment agreement? Two completely different documents. Actually, you can go to equityrealestateblog.com. If you don't have a real estate contract, you can download a free PDF of one. Actually, it's a free Word doc, so you can, adjust it, change it. You can use it, send it to your attorney so they can make it applicable for your state. And also, we have the assignment agreements there. But the difference between the contract and the assignment, the contract spells out the agreement between you and the seller. The assignment agreement, what that does is says that I assign my rights to the contract on 1234 Main Street, and this buyer will be the one performing, or be the one that I assign this contract to. So my buyer steps in my stead to close the contract. So again, if the house is under contract for $50,000, my buyer is willing to pay $55,000 for it. Come in, he closed on the property. The title company will send me a $5,000 check. Okay. So and then that goes to, actually the next question was, how do I get paid? I just went over, how you get paid. Let's see. All right, let's wrap up with this. This one is really one that people always ask, and there's a great debate about. I've wrote blog articles on this. Other wholesalers wrote blog articles on this. And that is that magical question of, is wholesaling legal? So I always tell people that I don't give them a yes or no. And the reason being is because there is a lot of gray area of wholesaling properties without a real estate license. So my answer to you is, just go and spend the money and get your real estate license. That way you don't have to worry about being caught in that gray area of, is it legal or is it illegal? So, and then also with your license, that gives you the opportunity to provide the seller another alternative if they don't want to accept your wholesale offer, because normally the wholesale offer is lower. So you can always say, okay, Mr. Seller, you don't want to accept my offer of $50,000, but I'm also a licensed agent and I can list this property for you and get pretty much close to what you want for the property. So I can't buy it at $75,000, but I'm sure that there is someone in the market that will be able to buy this property for $75,000. So give me the opportunity to list your property. That way the deal is not completely dead and you have the opportunity to still make some money off the property. So in a roundabout way to answer that question, is wholesaling legal or illegal? I say that there is a gray area, there is a fine line, but to eliminate yourself from being stuck in that gray area, just go and get your real estate license. Now, some people will say, well, if I get my real estate license, I have to pay my broker, I have to do all of this, I have to do all of these contracts and everything like that. But remember, the best advice is to do everything above board. So if you have a broker that you work with and they take part of your commission, part of that commission is going towards errors and omission insurance. That way you're covered if you do a deal and the seller wants to come back and sue you. You will have insurance to cover your end, if that ever occurs. And believe me, in real estate, at some point someone will want to sue you, put a lien on you, something like that. But if you're doing everything above board, then you won't have anything to fret or worry about. So with that being said, that was just a few of the questions that were asked to me in the 30-minute free strategy session. If you have other questions, make sure you click the link below and get scheduled to have that 30-minute free strategy session where you can ask me anything you want. Also, if you're looking for free resources, go to equityrealestateblog.com. That's equityrealestateblog.com. You can read other articles that I've written, and you can get other free resources. So, it's Marcus Maloney, the Equity King, signing off. You can also find me on Twitter, biggerpockets.com. I'm a constant article writer on there, so you can find other topics there. So, signing off. Have a good day. Look forward to seeing you making some money out here in the real estate industry.